everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today's video is on my favorite products from 2018 for the face. I'm covering things like foundations and powders and primers, blushes, bronzers, all the typical things that you use for makeup and put on your face. So if you want to see what I loved the most in 2018, just keep watching. This should be the second in my series. I'm breaking this year's up into 4. I can't remember if I did 4 or 5 last year, but you guys really loved this last year, so I wanted to repeat it for you again. Bear with me if you feel like maybe I left something out that I've said that I liked this year. I've discovered a lot of products in 2018 that I really loved, but they couldn't all be in these videos because they would be too long, too overwhelming. So I really tried to narrow it down so that just the top of mind products ended up in this video. The things that I reach for the most, that I really just think of when I think, oh, you know, the powder that I reach for the most, the foundations that I really don't want to be without, that kind of thing. And if there's not one in a category, then I just skip that category. And there may be multiple in other categories. But I was thinking about some primers that I've recently discovered, and I just had to nix some from this because it kind of started to look like a top 5 video instead of a best of 2018 video. So I was kind of hard on some of these products. I'm going to start with concealers because it's just an easy category for me to start with. I don't think many of you, if you've been following me, will be surprised at the choices I have in this video. But before I get started, if you are not subscribed to this channel, whether you're new here for the first time or whether you've been following me and just haven't hit that subscribe button, haven't hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I upload, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I would love to have you here on a regular basis. And of course, hitting that bell helps you be notified every single time I upload, as opposed to just hitting the subscribe button where you get notified sometimes. I don't think it's going to come to anyone's surprise to see the Total Eye 3-in-1 Renewal Therapy in this video. I'll probably talk about it in more videos than I don't talk about it. I don't know if that made sense, but I talk about it a lot. This really replaced all other under eye correctors for me because it does do multiple things. It helps treat fine lines. It has SPF 35. It hydrates all day. It does correct with a neutral peachy tone. I love this product. I love the applicator. I have 3 tubes of this in my house now. This goes underneath all of my concealers to counteract my dark circles. I can sometimes wear it on its own because it does work really well. I usually do that on, no makeup days or light makeup days. It's just a great product. I will never be without it. I have 2 concealers in this video. I could have had more, but I just did my top concealers video. If you haven't seen that, I'm gonna link it for you down below. I have the Too Faced Born This Way and the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Concealer. I go into more detail in that video, which is why I'm gonna link it for you. Just to give you a little bit of a disclaimer about me, since this is about the face, I have oily combination skin. I am over 40, so I do try to fight the aging process, but at the same time, I try to fight shine, and sometimes that's a little hard, but my under eye area is dry. So I need an under eye concealer, treatment products, things like that that are hydrating and don't make me look awful during the day or as the day goes on. Both of these concealers accomplish that for me. They both offer very full coverage. I love the Magic Away Concealer because it does seem to kind of move with your fine lines. It doesn't ever emphasize them. I am going to tell you right now, I had heard to remove the sponge and I did that and it worked beautifully because the product just comes straight out. You don't have to worry about the messiness of the sponge because that is a huge drawback of this product, is that sponge applicator and how messy it gets around the top because it scrapes against the top. So I cut off the sponge. However, in doing so, I think it makes this hole a little bit big and it dries out the concealer. It has not applied the same for me ever since I did that. So I would advise you not to do that. It was a mistake that I have made. So now I'm trying to keep it in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't dry out further. And if I get a new tube, I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with the sponge, which, I really wish they would change the packaging on that. The Too Faced, great product. I mean, both of them are great products. It's really just the applicator on the Charlotte Charlotte Tilbury. This one has the big doe foot, kind of like the Tarte Shape Tape did, but for some reason I don't have a problem applying this one sparingly underneath the eye like I did the Tarte Shape Tape. I think because it is a little bit thinner, but it covers really, really well. In the Too Faced, I'm light beige, and in the Charlotte Tilbury, I'm shade 4. Either one of those concealers is great if you have both dark circles and texture underneath your eye. The two powders that I narrowed it down to are the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I did not say that correctly. And the Lancome Long Time No Shine. I have 3 in here, but one is in here for a different reason. I'll get to that one in a minute. The Lancome is my facial setting powder of choice most days because it's so finely milled. It never cakes up. It gives you that kind of soft matte look to your face, and it really airbrushes your pores. So if you have on a foundation that just didn't quite do what you wanted it to do around here, this will take care of that. It's such a great powder. I've talked about it ad nauseum. As I have this powder. This is the shade Fair, is that right? Yeah, number 1 Fair. I am light medium, but this works for me really well because it acts like a translucent powder, and this is what I prefer for underneath my eyes. You can also travel with this and set your face with it and touch up with it and everything else. It's compact, and this is such a finely milled powder as well. I just prefer to set with it underneath my eyes. If I need to be mattified for a longer period of time, I'll use the Lancome. If I want just a general light setting of powder, this is a great one to reach for. Another powder that I have in this video, and I haven't done a separate video on touch-up powders. The Fenty Beauty Invisimatte powder is the powder that I touch up with during the day when I touch up. I tried switching back to the MAC Blot powder. I'm having issues talking today, just so you know. This is just a universal shade. It's white. It looks white, but it doesn't go on the face white. It's just a translucent powder. I find that this works really, really beautifully and invisibly on the skin to mattify, shine for a long period of time. I think I'm sensitive to something in the MAC Blot powder. It always seems to clog my pores a little bit, and this doesn't. This works really well. You can set your face with this too. I just usually leave this in my purse and I set with something else, but this is a great invisible powder if you're trying to combat shine during the day, like I am with my oily combination skin in a humid, hot area most of the year. The one primer that I am putting in this video, even though I've discovered a few that I have yet to talk about, this is the one that I'm mentioning that I talked about for a good bit of time over and over, and then I just kind of deviated and started trying new things, and I haven't talked about it in a little while, but I still love it. This is the Fleur de Vie Smooth Operator Primer. This is made by a local Louisiana company. I have no affiliation. They reached out to me to send me some things several months ago, and I said, all right, that's fine. And I tried this on a whim thinking, you know, I'll try it, I'll give it a shot. I probably wouldn't like it. This is one of the best primers I've used. I'm gonna link you to a couple videos down below where I talk about it a little bit more, but this actually works kind of like those BB creams that they go on white and then they give a little bit of a tint to the skin to even out the skin. And it keeps me matte for a long time, and not a flat matte, but if I want to just even out my skin and dust on powder, this is a great product to do that. A lot of BB creams can leave me a little bit shiny. Never have to worry about that with this. This is so good. And if I have a foundation that makes me a little bit shinier than I like, sooner than I like, if I use this primer, this pretty much remedies that. This is such a great primer. I definitely see this being in a lot of people's favorites this year. This is the Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy Anti-Pollution Sunshine Serum. This is their kind of bronzing product that you can put on by itself. It's very concentrated, or you can mix it in with your skincare or your foundation or your primer and give your skin kind of a glow or a self tan, or even out your neck and your face. I've mixed it in with my neck cream to give myself a little bit of a tan here. This actually has antioxidants and omega fatty acids in it. It's got good ingredients, so you're actually mixing in something that's good for you. It makes your skin look beautiful in the process. This is a great product. I really don't ever intend on being without this product because I've needed it. I feel like almost on a weekly basis in some capacity or another. If I'm gonna go without makeup and just want to mix in something with my moisturizer to even out my skin tone, something like that, this is a great product for that too. Before I move on to the rest of the face products, I'm gonna throw in the 2 brushes that I feel like really made a difference for me this year that I have really fallen in love with. The first, a lot of you have seen me use this in a lot of videos. This is the Hourglass Veil brush. It may have another name to it, I don't know. This is just their dual-ended powder brush, and then it's got this tapered smaller end too that you can use for under your eyes or for a more targeted application. This is so soft. I didn't realize how scratchy my other powder brush was that I was using so much until I got this brush. It's dense yet soft. It just applies everything so perfectly. And I normally don't like dual-ended brushes, but I have made an exception for this one because it is just so perfect. The second brush that I have fallen in love with quite unexpectedly, because I had never bought anything from this brand until I delved into some eye and face brushes. This is the Sonia G Face 1 brush. And I got this for finishing powder because I had heard it was really good for powder foundations and mineral powders. And it is. It's so incredibly soft. I feel like a lot of flat top brushes have a little bit of scratchiness to them. This one has none whatsoever, and it picks up all the powder. I swear, I've got some finishing powders and face powders that have a lot of kick up when you stick the brush in them. This picks everything up so you actually waste less powder. It applies everything evenly and smoothly, but it doesn't disturb makeup underneath if you are using it as a finishing powder. I can use it for my powder foundations as well if that's what I want to use it for. It's just such a beautiful brush, so I'm really glad that I got that this year. I'm putting just one blush in the video. I've discovered a few, but this is the one that just stands out to me the most, and that is the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic blush. I have 2 shades. I have Ecstasy, which is this really pretty coral peachy pink shade that really gives life to any complexion. I really feel like anybody would look great in that shade. It's got some subtlety to it, so it's not going to overpower you, but it is going to give you a brightness, a fresh look. And then I have First Love, which is your more neutral shade. It's got an outer ring here that you swirl onto your overall cheek, and then it's got this pop of color here that you pop onto your cheekbone to give that pop of color. These are just beautiful blushes. The texture, the wearability, there can be a difference in the quality of blushes, and I think these are some that are evidence of that just because the quality is just so beautiful. I almost left this palette out because as much as I raved about the Smashbox Cali Contour palette, how could this not be in my year-end favorites? I mean, I use this thing all the time. I've thought about getting a backup. This is a face palette, but I also use it for eyes. I've gotten an entire look out of this palette, face and eyes. It's easy to do. It's great to travel with. It's got a bronzer, a beautiful highlight, a contour, a blush, another highlight that's got a little bit of warmth to it. I find I use that on my eyes sometimes, and then it's got a setting powder, which I usually use that as kind of a brightening powder or on my eyes to even out my lids. This is probably the least used product in this palette for me, but overall, I get a ton of use out of this palette, and I know those of you that got it love it as much as I do. If I could tell everybody to get this palette, I would. I am. You all need this palette. It's so good and so easy. This is probably what I reach for the most on days when I'm in a hurry. I need a no-brainer something because I can get everything I need in this palette and I don't have to keep reaching in and out of drawers or shelves or anything. Everything's in here. I was gonna just put this next bronzer in here, but I'm adding in another one and there's a reason for that. This is the Marc Jacobs Tantastic Omega bronzer. And I feel like this is a product that you wonder, is it really worth the hype? Because everybody raves about it. It is expensive, but you do get a ton of product for what you pay. It is worth it. It gives you a sun-kissed look. It never looks overdone. It's just so easy because it is so big. You can really get the job done quickly. And it's just such a great universal shade. I did not get this the first go round, and when they re-released it this year, I grabbed it and I got a backup later on, I think during a Sephora sale. So I do not ever want to be without this bronzer. Another one that I had to throw in here, and I'm sorry to do this because it is kind of pricey. It's the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel. Now I say it's pricey, but you get a ton of product in here for the price. This is 1 full ounce of bronzer, and every time I take my brush in, I mean, I've used this a lot. I keep thinking it's gonna go down, it's gonna run out, and I still have the outer swirls in here. You hardly need any product at all to get the job done on your face, and it just hardly makes a dent in the product. This is gonna last forever. And like I said, you get a ton of product in here. This is such a great warm shade that I thought might look a little too orangey based on how it looks here, but it really doesn't. And this is a cream product, but it's not one that you feel tackiness or like you have any cream products on your face. It just blends in and sets down so beautifully. So I'm really glad to have this because this does give just such a beautiful warmth to the skin. And finally, the foundations. I narrowed down 2 foundations that I feel like made the most difference to me this year, if that makes sense, or that I just continually keep reaching for. There's others that I love. These are just the 2 that I put in my best of 2018. The first is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. I think this is such a stunning foundation on both dry and combination oily skin. I hear people loving it with different skin types. For me, I didn't try this for so long because I thought it would slide off my face. I thought it was made for drier skin types than what I have, but it is so beautiful on the skin. It really does settle down into kind of a soft velvet finish, not really a matte, not really a luminous. It's somewhere in between. It lasts all day. It just makes your skin look beautiful and healthy. And that's really what it's all about, I think. I wouldn't say that this is gonna be your, all day long matte foundation, but this is a good skin, beautiful foundation that gives coverage. It makes your skin look beautiful, perfect, lovely. I'm so glad I finally tried it. I'm sure most of you probably know what the last one is, but it's the Dior Backstage. I am in love with this foundation. I feel like it's about halfway done. When I want a foundation for any occasion, it could be day or night, it could be day to night, dressy or casual. I just want my skin to look really good, but I also want it to look perfected, but not like I'm wearing obvious makeup. This is what I reach for. It's so beautiful on the skin. It really does meld with the skin and look like skin. So this has been just such a great discovery for 2018. You very rarely hear of anyone disliking this foundation. I know some people have issues because it does have alcohol in it. That is a personal preference. If you have issues with that, then this is not the foundation for you, but it might not be a foundation that you wear every day, and you may want to have this as part of your foundation arsenal. I personally absolutely love it. I love what it does for my skin. It does make it look healthy. It does keep me shine free for a long time, and it doesn't look like I'm wearing obvious makeup. A final product I'm going to add in here that I very rarely talk about because I don't use setting sprays a lot on camera, but this is the one that I've been reaching for the most when I do use setting sprays, and this is the Gerard Slay All Day setting spray. This is the green one. I don't know, is it cucumber? Anyway, I think this is really great for if you do need your makeup to last a long time, if you're going to be in hot, humid weather, if you're going to be somewhere from morning until night, and you need your makeup to last. I don't use a lot of setting sprays on camera because setting spray is just not something that I typically have to work into my makeup routine on a daily basis, but I do have several that I rotate through, and this is just one that kind of I keep going back to. You can see how much I've used of it. It's not one that I hear about a ton, but this one is actually pretty good. The one that I was using a ton before this is the Urban Decay All Nighter. That's a great one. I've used that one on and off for years. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to see if this one was worth all the fuss, and I really do like it. What products for the face did you love in 2018? Leave those down below in a comment for me. I can't wait to read those. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you here on a regular basis, and stay tuned for the rest of my best of 2018 videos coming soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.